Hello, Sagittarius. Hope you're doing well. My name is Jordan, the Green Moon Healing Spirit. I'm going to be doing your tarot card reading for the month of September 2025. There's quite a lot happening right now in the sky. It's been very interesting to see what's been going on with everybody. Um, Lots of eclipses coming, a lot of things going on with the moon, and there's some interesting things happening with the North and South node and varying other things as well, with Saturn retrograding. Pisces is kind of a hot house for activity, as is Virgo. So we'll be talking a little bit about these things. Truthfully, though, the cards just say what they want to say. We will see kind of what they say for you. I'm very interested to see. Um, I will be pulling 10 cards from this Emerald Moon deck, and then I'll be clarifying with 3 cards for each of those cards from this Gilded Tarot deck. I will be pulling you a Fantasy Oracle, and I'll be pulling you a Talisman at the end. So, I'm just going to go ahead and start by shuffling the cards. A lot of interesting things happening, and I'm hoping you're having a very good month, Sagittarius. Certainly an interesting time. Virgo season is such a complicated energy. A lot of tidying up, perfecting, that sort of thing. And I'm always interested to see how it will affect all the signs. Your own sign is rather interesting in this way. Sagittarius is never a sign to disappoint, of course. Lots of interesting stuff happening. The new moon in Virgo coming later as well. It's the second new moon in Virgo. It's kind of a rare occurrence, so it's interesting perspective, bit of insight what's going on with that too. So we'll see if that plays in. For you, I believe the biggest areas are like 10th house, 4th house, so some pretty interesting spots. definitely, definitely big house placement sort of things. Okay, Spirit, anything for Sagittarius? Things that they should know for September? Anything? All right. Okay, Spirit, for Sagittarius. Few cards. Ooh, Tower. Okay, we have Page of Swords. I did see the Tower first, so that will be first, and then have the Page of Cups here. This one came down right back in, and we'll pull that one. Justice. Wow. Okay. Let's see. Four of Pentacles. Very interesting. Wow. So that's a pretty big deal going on in the first half of September for you, Sagittarius. So let's start with the Tower. Tower, The Tower is a card, speaks to upheaval, change, really big changing things, a shakeup. I know Uranus is in Gemini. It's very interesting sort of energy as well. So that does speak to a time of upheaval. Um, that's a very big sort of planet. Of course, there's a lot of other things happening too. For you, the 10th house is also an interesting place right now. Virgo, in doing these things, Virgo that has the south node there, it also has the sun, which is sort of working to perfect your life in a way that's eliminating things that don't really need to be there. Sometimes Sagittarius, it does take us, I see with this, there might be a bit of necessity for this, just because I see a few other things coming. But the Tower is, of course, a bit of a dramatic moment. Maybe that you're going through this now. You might have just started going through it. Some of you may yet to feel it. But I do know that with the eclipse coming somewhere, I do see this a lot as the 10th house for you. There's sort of new beginnings with the new moons and all of those things too. But there does have to be an ending somewhere else. Of course, this isn't always an ending. This is really just something dramatic that's happening, something where you really shouldn't have been in a certain place. It may be that some of you are having to revise. This could be relationships, this could be a job, this could be anything. I'll clarify all these cards. But the Tower is, of course, a little bit of upheaval. And I do see here there are new things coming, new approaches, new beginning sorts of things. And I think that maybe this had to happen. I don't know where you're coming from last month, but there are some other complicated things happening too. Of course, justice showing up. We'll talk about that. So the Tower, of course, does speak to a big need for change, things that needed to change. Whatever they were, they are changing. And sometimes after we have the Tower, of course, this is dramatic and nobody enjoys seeing this Tower. It's somewhat of a traumatic card to see. But after that, when all the dust has settled from this Tower moment, we can then start to have some fresh air where we can start to send some feelers out into something a little bit new, something that we're kind of trying to see ahead, kind of take a little bit of a look and see what's going on. The page for you is able to open up some free space and explore that free space for you. This can speak to communication, maybe some new communications going on with other people, maybe in your family, could be at work, could just be social stuff too. The page is able to determine the free space just by taking some innocent steps into it. This could, represent some kind of new conversation, maybe new friendship, all kinds of things in that way. And the Page of Cups, very similar. Um, this is more about feeling, though, intuition and kind of manifesting little things at a time with feeling. I do see this little fish here as being a little bit step by step and new feeling. Is like a real offered taste of what's to come, kind of. I do see the moon is eclipsing in Pisces, which has a lot to do with feelings, but also things ending. And I do see maybe this some of that's going on here, but this is sort of the new start energy to a feeling. It might be that you're getting stirred up here at the eclipse. There's a lot of transformation happening, and you may not want this to come at this time. Maybe you're not ready for it. Maybe you don't feel like you're ready, but maybe you actually are, and you're just not sure. I don't see blindness, but we'll keep it ongoing. Now, justice coming up here speaks to karma, which there's a lot of that in the air right now, with the North Node being in Pisces with this eclipse, and the South Node being in Virgo, where the Sun is right now. The stars are kind of speaking to cleaning up your life a little bit, cleaning up what's going on, and trying to make sense of it all karmically. What things need to come in? that you need to invite and what things need to go out. The sun in Virgo is seeking to moderate the things that need to leave. It's almost picking things out that are needing to see the door. But Saturn is also retrograding in Pisces with this eclipse, as well as the North Node. So things that need to come in aren't going to come in unless it's okay with Saturn. There's a sense of accountability, you see. Saturn is not going to let things come in for you which should not be coming in. I think this speaks a little bit to, this is more about your fourth house. So things coming in that way. This is talking about your roots. Your fourth house is your roots and what makes you you, your defined sort of root system that has built you up to this point. There may be some revision on that. There may be some discovery about that, which sort of sends you into a mode of upheaval where you're kind of in a little bit, it may be that you're kind of seeing something about yourself which may shake you to the core. This is very Uranus and Gemini, and that's maybe why this tower is coming up. There may be something about your life right now that you're discovering about what makes you you that may just make you very uncomfortable. It may make you feel vulnerable because it's been something you've relied on for so long. But justice is here and talking about all of the things that need to happen, all of the things that are coming in for you, and all of the things that are changing. There's a lot of newness, here and here. It may be that the way that you've considered yourself in the past, what really has determined who you are now, is changing in a very defined way. And it may cause you to question how stable you feel. And I do get that here. So immediately after, with justice, all these changes karmically which going on, you may be questioning a little bit just how you're going to make this work. It may cause you to get a little bit clingy to the things that you have. I do sense a little bit of apprehension for you here, Sagittarius. This is of course natural. When we have big changes like this, we tend to hold on tight. The only thing I'll say with that is if you hold on too tight with justice, justice can be a little bit icy and a little direct, and it's very much based on what has come before. I feel if you enable an expansion and you are accepting and willing and receptive to that, justice kind of lets that come out of the pot for you and rewards you with that. But if you don't accept these things, and you act with clinginess, it may be that something that you get out at the end is not really going to help. So I'm not saying that I get that for you, but I'm thinking that maybe you perceive this sort of grandness that's going on in your life. Whatever is shaking you here, it just might be causing you to feel a little bit clingy as an end result with justice. Of course, we do clarify these cards. I do see this sort of represents, though, a sticking to your guns as well and knowing how to control what you have. But it does speak to a little bit of apprehension and just a little bit of defensiveness. Whereas on the other side of justice, we have this Page of Cups, which is all about new feelings and trying to let little things in at a time to change how you feel about a situation. We'll see what happens. I'm going to pull some more cards. It's very interesting, though. Hey, Spirit, anything else for Sagittarius? A couple cards. Okay. 8 of Wands and 5 of Swords. go. A couple cards came down right there. Okay, here we go. So I have Six of Pentacles, Queen of Cups, King of Cups, and the Three of Pentacles as your guiding card. Beautiful. Okay. So I do see that we just talked about justice and allowing things to come in and remaining stuck and all that sort of stuff. I do see here there's change after this. This stuck sort of moment, I think, is maybe a reaction. It may be how you perceive what's going on. Maybe you are a little bit nervous after this shakeup. That is just something that's normal, Sagittarius. That is kind of a normal response whenever you have big upheaval energy. Of course, your own sign, you're a little bit more on the mutable side, so you're able to navigate change a little bit quicker. I feel like you're just able to kind of get into whatever you need to. If something happens, you adapt. It's not like you get super stuck. And I do see here that this adaptive change does come. I think initially you may sort of get a little bit tight, just trying to control what's going on a little bit more. But then with this Eight of Wands, this is all about speed now. So this is that adaptable Sagittarius response that I'm starting to intuit at this point. So whatever's going on with justice, which we will clarify, I do believe this sort of like a knee-jerk reaction. There's been a little bit of a startling moment up above, especially earlier on in the month. And then things are going to start to speed up for you after this. You just initially stuck. You do under the tower. I do tend to read them like that too. So with the tower on top here, I do see that you kind of, in order to maintain control, maybe you are trying to quickly adapt and trying to quickly move into, how you're going to get through this. Maybe the change is the thing with the tower, of course. The tower is really a very fast moment, truthfully. A lot of people hate this card. They see it as like this huge, enduring, torturous thing. It's really not. The tower is very quick. Whatever happens in the tower, it happens, and then you fall, and then you have fallen, and then that's it. It's really just about it. I mean, it takes maybe a little bit of chaos and all of that, but it's really not an enduring process. The after effects may be more enduring, but the tower itself is not. I do see, though, whatever happens in the tower and then the justice card here, I see at this point, I do see expansion. I see adaptation. I do see reception. I do see control. I see all of that. So whatever's happening, Sagittarius, don't expect to be spending long in this state. Don't expect to be spending long being nervous or scared or whatever's happening. Don't think that that's going to last forever, because come mid-month, things are going to start to move quickly, and your passions will shift as well in suit. They're going to follow along with you. Wherever you go, your passion follows. That's something interesting about Sagittarius, and always fascinating to watch how they respond to things. And now the Five of Swords obviously speaks to bittersweet situation. It could be that you are finding things out that happened, and maybe you're just not happy how they happened. It may be that you are winning some situation. It could be at work. It could be in a relationship. However, I do know right now that in your fourth house with Saturn there and the retrograde, of course, with Pisces and all of the things going on there with the North Node, you're I do know that this speaks to setting boundaries, which you may, coming later, have to have a conversation where you say maybe some things you didn't want to say. That's always what I see when I get this card. Of course, may not be the case for you. This could just be in your head as well. But I do see a bit of communication where you're having to put your foot down a little bit, or maybe just take what you need and maybe just say what you want. And it doesn't, of course, feel good when you do things like that. When you need to just say something, it might be a little bit hurtful. These people are obviously not happy here. But it also could be sometimes people see these as your past selves, that sort of thing. That could very well be. This could speak, if you were to interpret it that way, this could speak to those things about the roots that made you up. Maybe you're having to forcefully just kind of move forward, and there's a little bit of damage there. It'd be a little bit of scarring. I do see this more for you as kind of putting your foot down. That's just what I see. There's always an element of resentment, what I see with this card. Um, and whatever it is that this person has done, he's obviously winning, but it's not really satisfying them. It's just sort of, and the people in the background are a little bit upset. I do see this might speak to boundaries, that sort of thing. It may be, well, let me read the rest first and then we'll talk about everything. So, coming now into Libra, when the sun moves into Libra, you are taking on in suit, of course, in true Sagittarius fashion. You're really stepping to the beat the right way, because this card is all, I mean, there's a scale in it, which is very Libra. So this is not a Libra card, but I always see it as a Libra card because there's a scale here, and it does speak to that mentality of making sure things fit right, and it could be that you're allocating resources the right way. I also do know that Cancer has Jupiter for you right now. So that's very interesting sort of energy. You know, I do know that this card for you represents pooled resources and all of the things that go on with that. Um, you may be having to design a situation for yourself and your surrounding people where you're having to moderate the pool of whatever resources there are and moderate whatever's going on. Um, it does speak to an element of needing to moderate either the people in your life or some element of yourself where you're having to set boundaries again. I do see that for you. Of course, with Virgo in the 10th house for you, that is all about um, career. This could have to do with your career. It could be that you are trying to figure out how to expand in your career. Maybe something shook you up. Maybe you're having to leave a career and you're moving into another career, and now is the time, where you're figuring out how you're going to move forward with what you have, with the people that are involved, with whatever's going on there. I do see that this definitely is all about that Libra energy, though, when the sun coming into Libra, kind of moving things into where they need to be. So that's just what I see with this card. And after that, you have the Queen of Cups. The Queen of Cups is such a beautiful energy because she's so receptive, and she has the biggest cup of all here. And she's able to take in the emotion and bring it into herself and birth out all of this beautiful water. So I like to see it as the Queen's energy is embodying the feeling at the same time as it's putting it out. This is very water energy. It's all one and the same thing. So she's sort of part of all of it. She's built her stability on her feelings. She's built her stability on how she's able to take things in and adapt to them and receive them and transform them and feel into every situation. Of course, the water is her and she is it. It's coming from her cloak here, as you can see, to the point where it supports her. And this cup, I believe, is sort of like her focus, where she's able to take all of the things, all of the feeling, and just be with it and become with it and merge with it. And she is so receptive and ready to just feel. So I do see that for you, that you are in that mindset where you may be trying to step into how you're going to feel with the situation. But I do see you as being particularly receptive, which to me is much different. And of course, I see it as coming under justice, which is a beautiful situation. coming under justice like this. We talked about when I said justice earlier that if you were in a receptive position, justice kind of understands that for you. And like I said earlier, justice isn't about what you want. Justice about is what you're going to get. It doesn't matter if you want it or not. In this very karmic situation, this could be with the full moon going on in Pisces with Saturn retrograde and the North Node there as well. It is all about feeling. It's totally about feeling. That is a very feeling house, a very feeling sign in Pisces. It can be a little bit challenging to navigate, especially for fire signs like you, Sagittarius. But I do see you being very indulgent in the feeling and receptive to maybe the change that has happened to you. Um, it could just be this knee-jerk stuckness is changing quickly. I see that. There's kind of this autocorrect I see going on for you. It may be that Saturn and Virgo, or Saturn and Pisces and Virgo with the South Node is really working its magic to saying, no, no, don't. That's not what we want to do, and you autocorrect to being more receptive at that point. Um, I just see that for you. And with justice like this, like I said, if you are receptive, you will get due pay for that. Justice will understand that, and it's going to reflect back at what happens to you. So the King of Cups now, after the Queen of Cups, is a remarkably interesting situation. There are lots of ways to read this combination. Some people read it like this, that the Queen and the King are not facing each other, so that they disagree. There may be some part of you which feels out of balance, but I don't see that for you here. I have seen this combination where people do believe that that's what's going on. Of course, I don't believe that, not in this condition for you. There's no way, not coming up with the 6 like this. The King of Cups now, I think, is a much more assertive force, though, than the Queen. He's not so receptive. It's much more about control, which does come up under this 4 of Pentacles. So there's a little bit more control. I do see sometimes with this combination, there can be a little bit of resistance to let things in, but I do see you. This speaks to that boundary situation that I think we were talking about with the 6 of Pentacles. There is more of a need to negotiate with yourself on what you are willing to allow in. Although the Queen is receptive, I do think the King may be embodying that sense of control and also that sense of Saturn in retrograde, where things won't be allowed to come in that don't belong there, things that you're feeling. I also see this too as whatever the Queen is receiving, the King is now taking some sort of control with and mastering for you, and really thinking about how it's going to work for him, because the King has all of the things. He's supported by the water. He is so in tune with what's going on, just like the Queen. There's very little that's going to be found in his feeling that he doesn't understand. He's able to navigate these tough, watery energies. And it's not easy, Sagittarius. These are not things you can really see. It's really coming from the inside. So this could be a little bit of clingingness to feeling or defending your feeling, but I do see it more as just being in control. I see that there's a very controlled response and a moderated allowance of what's going to be allowed in for you. And as your guiding card, we do have the 3 of Pentacles. So with the 3, this is a more collaborative sort of effort. This is building something really big, really beautiful, and there are people here. And like I said, you do have that 10th house situation with Virgo. The sun is shining there, trying to perfect it. You also have this, there are 2 new moons in Virgo. So this is kind of a rare occurrence where you may be having to let something go to get a reset on something where you needed a second try. That could be 2. Maybe that's what this tower is about. It may not be, of course, but some of you, whatever your guiding card is, you are trying to build. This is all about that This is all about that collaborative effort to make something really grand come to life. And I do see you really trying to do that, especially, with the Six of Pentacles here as well, where you are taking in some new things. There are, of course, a lot of court cards. Some people see those as people as well. Maybe there are people coming in that you're having to just carefully set boundaries with and moderate what you're going to allow, in terms of how you feel about it. And I do see you coming from a rather clear perspective after this shakeup moment happened. Whatever's happening, something needed to change, and it changed. And now you're kind of having the new approach come in here with new vision and new feeling and all these things with justice. Maybe this was something that needed to happen for you so that you could enable this expansion. And I do see that it is the overall guiding energy is building something really new and with collaborative sort of effort. Very good. Now I'm going to pull Fantasy Oracle. Spirit, can I have a Fantasy Oracle for Sagittarius for September? A couple cards here, but I did see that one came down. I have interesting, the aspirant, ambition, diligence, and setbacks. I can't really think of a more perfect card. This does seem like a setback for you, but the way that you carry on with it is so responsive. Diligence, definitely. Um, Ambition, for sure. All these energies are here. These are things that are definitely coming out for this reading. I do see a lot of both diligence and ambition sort of coming after this setback. So whatever it is, you are persisting. You are continuing. Whatever's happening isn't stopping you. And maybe the second chance energy, that's very possible. Whatever's happening here, you're kind of getting a second chance to set it back into motion. That could very well be. And with Virgo in your 10th house, with the South Node, anything could really happen in that situation. So I think that may be what's going on for you, Sagittarius. It's very fascinating. Some of you, I do see this as career, but of course, this could be relationships. It could be just about anything. We'll clarify all these cards, of course, and we'll get a peek to see what's going on. Okay, so let's clarify this tower, Spirit. Okay, right off the bat, we have Three of Wands. Ten of Swords. The last one, we have Seven of Swords. Now the Page of Swords, Spirit. Clarify the Page of Swords for Sagittarius. Eight of Wands. Another Tower. Okay. Death card. Beautiful. Wow, what a moment. Now I'll clarify the Page of Cups. The Star. Beautiful. I have the Six of Cups, and I have the Knight of Wands. And now the Justice card, Spirit. Seven of Pentacles. A couple cards. Got Queen of Wands, and I have the Page of Wands as well. These ones came out, but they went right back into the deck, so I'll take those back in. And now the Four of Pentacles. The World. Couple cards here. I have the Devil, the Ace of Cups, and now underneath this Eight of Wands I have Temperance. It's a Sagittarius card. Beautiful. And now we will continue clarifying this Eight of Wands, Spirit. Four of Pentacles. Interesting, sort of reciprocal. Eight of Pentacles. Beautiful. Now the Five of Swords, Spirit. What's going on with that? Four of Swords as well. Got the Nine of Pentacles, and I also see the Ace of Wands. Beautiful. Now the Six of Pentacles. Spirit, what do we have for that? We have Six of Wands. King of Swords. The Chariot. Beautiful. Now we'll clarify this King of Cups. Queen of Cups. A couple cards here. Got the Five of Swords, and I have the Magician. And the Two of Pentacles. And now let's clarify the King of Cups. A couple cards. The Fool. Beautiful. The Lovers as well. My goodness. Okay. Four of Cups. Okay. And now let's clarify this Three of Pentacles guiding card. Anything, Spirit, for that? Eight of Cups. And now I'll take one more pass. I did get another card. King of Pentacles. Take one more pass to see if there's anything else about that Three of Pentacles that needs to happen. Okay, that's it. Beautiful. All right, Sagittarius. So what I'm going to do now, I do offer the comprehensive reading on my site. If you follow the link in the description, I would love to see you there. I always get so much more information in the comprehensive, just much more that's going on here, of course. And I can't always speak to everybody, so read it if you need it. But if it doesn't fit, don't try and force it. There's so many of you, there's no way I could talk to all of you. So I hope to see you there, and like this and subscribe if you like the content, and feel free to leave a comment as well. But I will pause it here and we'll pick it up in the comprehensive.